Good morning, beautiful Friday Cafe people. So we're very, very happy to see you. I'm Judy Carson, if I haven't met you. I'm from the State Department of Education. And we are really happy to be in Waterbury and to celebrate this beautiful little gem of a museum. And if this is a new space to you, please come back and please bring others. It's really it's a too well-kept secret. So we want to make sure people find out about this and find out about Waterbury. So to welcome us to Waterbury, I want to introduce Ms. Shynea Brown from Waterbury Public Schools. And as our host city this morning, I'd like to let Quinn welcome us.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We're so happy to have you here. As Judy mentioned, my name is Shynea, but I go by Quinn. I am the Family Community Engagement Manager here for Waterbury Public Schools. It's so wonderful to have you here in our neck of the woods. The new renovated Madison Museum, I remember coming here for field trips as a child, and this is not how it used to look. So we're really excited to say come back and visit again. I do want to say a big hello to some people that I work with, some of my partners, the parent liaisons. It's so good to see all of you. We usually have our meetings on virtual, but not to see you all in person. I just want to give you all a wave. Hello. Please give them a round of applause. They do a lot of work for our students, great partners, and they kind of welcome me into their team, so I appreciate all of you. As well as our speaker this morning, Ms. Shynea Paris. She is one of my colleagues, wonderful woman. I'm so excited to hear what she has to bring for all of you. And we welcome you here to Waterbury. Welcome to our little city, okay? Have a wonderful time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I don't know if everybody knows what CAFE stands for in Friday Cafe. So it stands for Community and Family Engagement. So today we're really celebrating community, and we're going to be talking about community partnerships. And then with that, I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, partner, and friend, Betsy Laborious, from CRAC, who's the Executive Director of our own statewide Family Engagement Center.
Thank you, Ms. Judy Carson. Thank you very much. So Judy introduced me. I do work at CRAC, and I am the Director for the statewide Family Engagement Center. It's a federally funded grant which allows us to convene Friday Cafe with the State Department of Education and also provide professional development to school districts and parent leadership throughout the state. So I'm really pleased to be here this morning. As you know, we have kind of a conversation catalyst, and so we're very, very pleased to have Shynea Paris and also her colleagues that will be talking about partnerships. We know this issue is huge, right? So several years ago, I was asked to do a peer mediation program with students at Buckley High School. I knew my content area. I was a high school teacher. I knew how to work with teen angels, as I always call them. So I had that background. But I knew that I needed, I had my area. But if I wanted to expand, right, if I wanted to go beyond my wheelhouse thinking, who else did I think could help me, right, to do this work and to bring young people together? So I started thinking, what if I contacted lawyers? What if I contacted community mediators who did the work in the community? What would they say? So guess what? I contacted Lawyers for Children, and guess what they said? Yes. And you know why? Which I didn't realize. This major law firm, a lot of institutions, large institutions, whether it's banks, right, or some law firms, they have a section that's called supporting the community, right? So that's what they did. They said yes to me. And so what we did is we planned a training for these young people. And the training took place, anybody been in Hartford, the Gold Building in Hartford? Okay, right? It was on the top floor of the Gold Building for these young people, right? This is the penthouse, right? This is the penthouse. And that's where the training took place. What happened as a result that I learned, right, was that number one, somebody said yes to me, and I had kind of a mission for doing it. But here were the things that happened. Students got trained. Lawyers also learned something, right? So adults learned and students learned. The adults learned that Buckley High School had some powerful leadership in their community, right? The other thing that was unexpected that happened is because of the relationships, remember this is relational, because of the relationships that were established that day in the training, lawyers became mentors to a lot of the students. They continued to do the work. And then, because of that, what also happened is it was a career pathway for students. It was a career pathway. And the law firm said, we would like to have some of these students during the summer work for us. So summer employment funded programs for students to learn there. And then, unexpectedly, the lawyer said, we want to hold a reception not only for the students, but for the families to acknowledge all the work that they did. So this was just, some of it was planned, some of it was totally unexpected in terms of that powership and a powerful partnership in terms of what happened. Just one example, right? So to get us centered today and to talk about some of the partnerships, what I'm going to ask you at your table is I want you to think about, and we're going to just do this for about 5 minutes, okay? I want you to think about, in your experience, good characteristics and challenges that you may have faced, right, in developing partnerships. So what was your experience, right? I'm going to have you make a public statement, all right? I'm really going to challenge you. Anyone want to just talk about, out there, yeah, way up, come on.
One of the things that we were saying, and all of us work together, is communication. It makes or breaks a relationship. You know, whether it's somebody isn't communicating, somebody is, you have to have those lines of communication. Whether it's a text, a phone call, an in-person, an email, and if people aren't doing that, it destroys the relationship.
Thank you. Thank you. Great one. Another one. Great one. Somebody else. Pop up. Come on. Anyone else? So I love this one. Yes. Yes, I love great people. We want to hear.
Brings a good outcome because we are all from different companies, so getting to know each other and the policies that we have together becomes a challenge. But once we have that great communication, as you stated, it becomes a little easy to build that partnership on both ends.
Thank you. Great. Good communications. Anything else people want to shout out? Yes.
So something that
We have stage for
So something that I would say was a willingness to work together, because something I faced is that, you know, I was brought in as a new person and people are like, oh, well, you're the new girl. I'm not relinquishing my control to help you get better at what you want to do. So you need that two-way communication, but also the willingness to bring your partnership up.
Right. One more. So we have communication. Yes.
So common goals, I think that a lot of the work that we do, we all have very common goals. Sometimes I think that, and especially I find that sometimes that people don't understand the networking piece, that it's not a competition. We're here to partner with each other, and it's not about your program versus my program. It's like work together to create those common goals and make it happen for everybody. But the common goal, we're all working for the same thing. We're all working together.
Thank you for your bravery, and I am now going to hand it over to Dr. B.
Good morning, Ray. It's so great to see so many familiar faces this morning. So Betsy stole some of my thunder.
Uh-oh.
That's okay. So you came up with some really good ideas in regards to what makes a strong partnership. I'm just going to add a little bit more. Actually, you do already have the handout on your table. So ensuring that the work that we do is focusing on the students, putting our students first. I remember my son even questioned me. Now he's 19, right? But when he saw students first on the side of the bus, he goes, Mom, is that a real thing? Like, do they really put students first? And I was like, ooh, our work is not done if the actual client is questioning the message, right? The other thing we talked about is having aligned vision and common language. How do you know that the partner that you're reaching out with, that you have the same goals, that you're working towards the same things, right? Evidence in successfully providing social, emotional, and academic support. So that's a big one, especially for our guest speakers today, Waterbury Public Schools. How is the work and the partnerships that you have with your community partners, how does that support student achievement? Vincent, do you have my clicker? Spoiled. Now, sometimes you have a formal agreement, other times you have a handshake, sometimes it's a nod, sometimes it's just understood. If you have a formal agreement, that's great, but sometimes you don't have time. You just roll up your sleeves and you get to work, right? Two-way communication, I heard that being talked about this morning. Huge, huge, huge. We want to make sure that we're both on the same page, that we know what each other are doing, that we're not doing the exact same thing, that the partnership is authentic, and that we have means of communicating. Multi-year partnerships. Sometimes the relationship is for a season, sometimes it's for a lifetime. And when it's a good partnership, it continues. And we talked about that partnership being reciprocal. Now, I'm a former classroom teacher, and I have been guilty of this myself. Sometimes schools are guilty of just receiving. Like they have great community partners, right? And we're used to folks just giving to us. But when you're a good partner to the community agency, then that relationship is reciprocal. We're not just receiving, but we're also giving, right? So this morning, I am not your conversation catalyst, but I will introduce the team and the person who is the conversation catalyst. So as I am introducing Shynea and the rest of the group, I'm asking them to come on and join me up front. But let me tell you a little bit about her, and then she's going to tell you more about herself. So it was about 5 or 6 years ago that I had the opportunity to meet Shynea. So I was a central office administrator hired to do family engagement in East Harvard Public Schools. That's what I interviewed for, that's what I agreed to, but guess what? Once I arrived, 2 additional things was added to my plate. And one of them was that I was going to be the new liaison for the district. And I was like, excuse me? I knew the title, and that's all I knew. I had no idea what this person was responsible for. But I have friends all over the state. Some of you were in the audience this morning. And so I called one of my good friends in Waterbury, and I was like, I need help. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. And I know it's a federal mandate, so I have to do it, and I have to do it well. She put me in contact with Shynea. And when I tell you, this young lady is a rock star, she's a rock star. So all those characteristics that we went over this morning, she's that and then some. She was able to tell me, she was like, Dr. V, you need to do this, 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 this. And I was like, I'm like, I'm one person. She goes, yeah, I understand, and I am too. So this morning, what I want you to be able to hear from Shynea and her, I call them the Get Fresh crew when I met them this morning. So what you're going to learn from them is how this team came together to support students and families within the city of Waterbury. So please give them a hand. But Shynea, if you can just briefly introduce yourself, and then I want you to introduce the folks that you brought with you.
Sure. So
Thank you.
Dr. B. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me good? Yeah. Okay, good. So again, my name is Shynea Paris. I am the District Mental Liaison for Waterbury Public Schools. I also supervise some assistant tutors out in shelters, in our community shelters, and I am the lead city team lead for Waterbury. And I did bring some of my partners here. I call them my village because we can't do it alone, right? None of us can do it alone. So I just want to talk a little bit about, before I introduce everybody, I do want to talk a little bit about when I started and how I started my position, what I had to do, and to get the ball rolling and teach myself and educate myself with Waterbury Public Schools and the community. So I started, I knew I had McKinney-Vento federal law that I had to push out. And that could look different. That is, introducing it to new folks. That could be refreshers, reminders about the law. We are a big district. We have about over 18,000 students in Waterbury. We have 33 schools. We have 50 languages spoken. We have about 18 school readiness programs in Waterbury, and many communities that do great work with our students and for our students. So, me, little old me, in Waterbury, with all these schools and all these community agencies, I had to sit back and think, where do I even get started, right? So I started with the schools. That's where you start. So I had to figure out who are my direct contacts at the school. What do they have in place? What works? Get to know everybody and then introduce myself, push the law, let them know what McKinney-Vento is, and come up with some systems. So I started there. And then I had to sit back and think, okay, once I got a handle on that, now how do I bring that to the community? What agencies out here already work with students? What can they offer families that I can't offer? Because the McKinney-Vento grant is great, but I'm limited on things that I can do, right? So I had to think, as a parent, what do I do day in day? What do I need day in day to survive for myself and my kids? And then I had to think about my families and my students that come in. What do they need? Some of the things I help them with, what I can help them with as far as McKinney-Vento goes, and that could be school stability. While they're in transition and they're nighttime residents, how can we keep them stable at the school level? How can we make sure they're at the same school so they don't have to keep changing schools? With that comes how do they get to and from school? So different things like that is what I can help with. And then I had to think they need more. How can I just stop there? I can't. My heart won't let me, right? So what community partners, what relationships can I build in the community that can help these families with the things that I can't help with? So then I did my research, did some homework. Google was my best friend. Trying to figure out what agencies are out there and who's already working with students, who has the key to housing, who has the things that I don't have. So then I built my own village, called up some community agencies, asked to speak to a supervisor, introduced myself, introduced what McKinney-Vento was. I did my homework, so I already knew what I wanted from them. So just let them know what I needed from them, and then just built that relationship and came up with some strategies and a system that works for both of us, because that's the key. It can't just work for me and it can't just work for them. What can we come up with collectively that will work for both of us? So little by little, I built my village, and I brought some of them here. So I do have some internal partnerships with me and some community partners with me. We have Ms. Maria Sanchez, we have Ms. Rose Sessa, we have Lucy Rivera, we have Heather Smith, and we have Ms. Barbara Tenner. And I will let these young ladies give a brief overview of our partnerships and what it looks like for us here in Waterbury and how we collectively support all of our students.
Thank you, Shynea. So Shynea has said a lot already. I hope you were able to capture some of the things that she said, right? So she said, one of the first things she did was she had to find out, one, what was her goal? What was going to make her successful in her new role? Two, she knew she couldn't do it alone, right? She researched her community to see what was available, but then she did something differently. She took a step back and she said, okay, Shynea, as a parent, if I was in this situation, I am a member of the community, I'm a parent, I have children in school, it's not me today, it could be me tomorrow. What are those things that I would need? So I'm going to pass it to you.
Good morning. My name is Maria Sanchez. I'm a family development support. I just got promoted. I'm a specialist already from New Opportunities. Our partnership with Elvis Play briefly something about New Opportunities. Our mission is to empower families, try to make them self-grow, help them economically, help them in different areas. We can management them as how we were talking is not just energy. We have a lot to help family to go through and education, economically, how I said, houses, furniture. It's a lot there. But when I think my intention here is more my testimony. I came in April 7, 2022, this year, 7 months ago. To me, it sounds like time flat. I came from New York with a really bad situation of a domestic violence. At the 4th day, I came here on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. On my 4th day, I was lost. But I have to take care of my kids. I have 2 kids. I have to, okay, I gotta be strong. I gotta go for it. I gotta move. I went to Waterbury School to put my kids in school. And I wish this person was here. She was at the phone desk and she just looked at me. And she was like, feel that paper? I think this could do better for you. I was like, what is it? What are you giving to me? I was like, okay. So Miss Shynea came to the door and I saw this lady. She was like, come with me. And she sent me this big table. I just said I was lost. I was like in the air. And she started giving me stuff. I get emotional because I feel that day like, I remember she said, God is good all the time. And she started saying me that my kids would be fine. As a parent, it was enough for me. They were in school, and I was like, but they don't have the physical, I don't have my job to me. She was like, you'll be fine. Then I was like, I have no money. She was like, I'll give you the supplies for the school. And I cried. I cannot stop. She was like, what are you crying for? You're not finished. And then she told me about the Section 8. I was like, it takes so long. I'm on the street. I'm homeless. She said, don't worry. You'll be fine. That day, I always prefer that I take down and the table will be back. Then, like 3 weeks after, I received my Section 8 from Waterbury Housing Authority, when Ms. Rose was my caseworker. But she sent me over New Opportunities. She was like, start at the free apartment, go there, they'll help you with the deposit. I went to New Opportunity, and New Opportunity, my caseworker gave me an application to find a job. They helped me, how I said, with everything at home. They, I was missing. State Haven helped me with my security deposit as well. My caseworker was amazing there. Why I wanted to bring that here is because there are options. I would love to be in an open space. I'm nervous today. I'm just about to right now. But there are options. Partnerships are amazing because it goes down places, umbrellas that we we have food, we have a shelter. They found like they're happy. We are happy. So this is my testimony. I just want to share that I feel great, that those agencies are amazing, that Ms. Shynea is doing an amazing job. It's yes, because I would not imagine that in the community you can find help.
So I just want to point out what I was saying, where I'm limited on what I can do with the McKinney-Vento resources that I have, but being, the partnership and the relationships that I built in the community, I was able to not just stop there. I was able to connect her with housing. I was able to connect her with shelter, able to connect her with the, right next door from me, Waterbury Public Schools registration, where, in Connecticut it says we have required documents. We can't register any kids without their required documents. The McKinney-Vento law helps us supersede that, and if we have a family that qualifies for McKinney-Vento, we can register them, get them immediately enrolled, and then we'll worry about that on the back end. We'll work with the family to get their physical and immunizations for their students. So that just, thank you for sharing, Maria. Thank you.
So I really appreciate that Maria shared her story, because Maria, when she came to the district, she was in need. But now she's someone that's at the table that has that sensitivity and the awareness, and she can continue to support other people. So I didn't ask her to share her story. She wanted to share her story to show what happens when there's a true partnership in the community and you have someone that really understands your situation or your relationship. Thank you. Rose?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Rose Sessa. I am currently the Section 8 clerk for Waterbury Housing Authority. Our mission is to provide resource information regarding a quality, safe, affordable housing for low-income families and individuals. It is our goal to provide a healthy living environment and to create opportunities of independence and self-sufficiency, as well as a better quality of life. The Waterbury Housing Authority is a rent subsidy program. Don't mind me, I'm very nervous, I'm sorry. What's so amazing about us is that we are able to give our clients the ability to select their own living space from an apartment to a single family home. So it motivates them and it gives them the sense of freedom and independence to continue on the path to becoming financially stable and with the correct resources and with the help of the amazing ladies on this panel, as you have heard today from Ms. Maria. Shynea reached out to partner with us to provide safe housing for the families in her program. We gave her an X amount of vouchers for her to offer to them to make sure that they have a safe shelter for the kids and to provide just a better quality of living for them. Of course, unfortunately, not everybody qualifies for the Section 8 voucher assistance, but Shynea has been doing an amazing job at pre-screening the families and making sure that they are qualified in order to offer the Section 8 assistance. Thank you. Sorry guys, that's just
Rose, can you tell us how the partnership has supported you in your role? How has the partnership with Waterbury Public Schools also assisted the work that you do?
Of course. So it has been very beneficial to both of us because one, we are helping Shynea meet the goals of housing her students, and it's given us the opportunity to give back to the community and to take some people off the streets as well. So it's an amazing partnership that we have going on right here at this amazing table as you see today. Yes, so again, we have a great partnership and I am so glad and so thankful to announce that we have housed over 146 families, which is amazing. So that's an amazing thing, an incredible thing, because you know, now those families have a better opportunity. They're able to provide their children a better life. They're able to feel safe, you know, they're able to, that way they understand that they're not alone, you know. We have an amazing, again, because of all of us right here, we're able to provide that for them. That's why this partnership is so amazing.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Lucy Rivera and I work for the Waterbury Public Schools. I'm in the registration department for grades K through 8. I started my position there 5 years ago, but I just want to mention that I've been with the Board of Education for 7 years. And it wasn't only up until I came to the Welcome Center 2 years after being with the Board of Education that I first heard of McKinney-Vento. So I had no idea what it was, never heard about it. But I came there and I think it was the first day I met her, Shynea, she brought me up to her storage room. I think it was on the 4th floor, to show me and let me know, you know, just to let me know what she does. And I have had the privilege of watching her baby grow tremendously. Like, that storage room is nothing what it was on the first day. So I just wanted to give a little background on that. My role in the registration department is to help the families with the registration process, collect documents, assign the schools, and just get the kids enrolled. But it's very important to know the law, because if you don't know anything about it, you can even become a hindrance to these children. You know, you have families coming in distress or going through whatever situation they're going through, and so not being able to assist them in getting their kids at least enrolled in school can be detrimental. So what she's done with us, she's implemented several things into the enrollment process. The first one being one of the questions on the application, if the family marks temporary, it's either permanent or temporary. If they mark temporary, then the second thing that she implemented was a tag, a McKinney-Vento tag. So automatically that will be flagged. And then the third thing would be that it is our job to then reach out to the families and ask them questions. There's a questionnaire that she put in there as well. So we go through these questions with the family. You know, we also want to make them feel comfortable. That's our responsibility, to make them feel comfortable in divulging this information. Sometimes they're okay with it, sometimes they're not. If they are, I'll summarize some of that information on the questionnaire for her so that when I pass it to her and she does her formal screening, she has a little bit of background on it. She then in turn will let us know, this is my family, this is one of mine, and we'll immediately process the registration. So as was mentioned before, Connecticut state law is hard when it comes to documents. You have to have definitely the medical portion of it, birth certificate, proof of address. So the program allows for you to just bypass all of that, which is a blessing to the families, you know. So if you don't know that's just not a good thing. You want to know at least the basics. So for me, just also having the same goal in mind that she does, which is to serve the children, to make it safe for them, to make them comfortable when the family's already going through, we don't even know what else, right? So also, you know, with the McKinney-Vento law, you know, she's providing, you know, supplies, school supplies, uniforms and things like that. But in the time that I've been there, it's beyond that. I mean, it's beyond that. She's always thinking like, always thinking of after. So it's just having empathy and compassion for kids. That's the goal, you know. And if you're not in it for that, then you're in the wrong place.
So Shynea, before we go to the next person, how can you give us an example? How do you know when a partnership is successful or not?
So throughout the year, we're enrolling students throughout the year. So students, you know, So just to paint the picture, homelessness can look in different ways. So we can have house fires, we can have natural disasters, we can have evictions, breakups, whether it's domestic violence or just a couple breaking up, and now either that parent with the kids now have to relocate because the shared apartment belongs to one parent and not both anymore. So we're enrolling all year, but the way I see it's working is at the end of the year during the summer. When I have to look at all of my students, and when I see say for example, I started with 500 students. In the summer, I see 146 were housed. That means it's working, right? My partnerships are working. What the work I'm doing is working, because the goal is, while they're with me, to get them away from me, right? We don't want them to be back with me the next school year. We want them to be having the stable housing and have the connections and resources that they need to move on, and they don't need my assistance anymore. So I see that during the summer, year to year.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Heather. I am the residential director for the domestic violence shelter with Safe Haven. And before I explain how McKinney-Vento helps my clients, I want to kind of piggyback off your question, because it dawned on me listening to these ladies speak. We are a perfect example of how good partnerships are successful, because Maria came from her situation. She reached out to Shynea, who set her up with housing, who set her up with Safe Haven, who gave her the deposit, and now she's working at new opportunities where I'm currently referring my clients to. So we're just one big circle of how well partnerships can work, and now we can all thrive together. Lucy helps me with all of my temporary living situation, families get registered for school. So to hear all them connect the dots, it's really like eye-opening, like, wow, this really is a huge partnership that is a continuous cycle. So a little bit about how McKinley-Vento helps Safe Haven is, obviously we shelter families that are fleeing their home because of domestic violence. And a lot of times they leave abruptly with, maybe they don't have copies of birth certificates, social securities, immunization records for school. So knowing that they don't need all that is a huge relief, because sometimes the women that come there, they don't want to call the doctors and ask for records to be sent to a different town, because dad can find out where they are that way. Where are my kids' records going? So to have time to get all that together is helpful. And the families that Safe Haven serves come from all over the state. And of course, kids never want to leave their school or their friends, because that's their comfort level. And we all know that consistency is super important in a kid's life. So Shynea and I work really closely with making sure that she's up to date with my new families entering, what schools they came from, and where my families are exiting to. Before working with her, I had no idea that schools even had homeless liaisons or McKinney-Vento. Exactly. So she actually provided me with a whole list of every school in the state, who their liaison is, because I'm active. I'm going to call you and we're going to get on this together, because these kids need to be in school. Sometimes it can take a week. Sometimes it's been up to 3 weeks, depending on the distance. So it's nice for me to be able to know who I need to talk to, so I can, less running around. The partnership that we have benefits the students that enter our shelter, because, I lost my place, I'm sorry. Obviously the kids want to stay in their school. And then if they're coming from Waterbury or from New London to Waterbury, how does mom get them there with no bus, no car? So being able to work with Shynea to set up the transportation has always been smooth. One of the hardest ones we ever had to do, I think, was New London, and that's why I mentioned it. It took a lot of time and effort, and that was almost 3 weeks before the kids can get enrolled in school. And because they're in the shelter and McKinley-Vento, their absences are excused, which is, a big deal for parents. Not only does McKinley-Vento help us with transportation and registering schools, but they also, like Shynea said, have provided school stability, transportation, uniforms, gym clothes, school supplies, Section 8 vouchers, food pantry locations, and as of most recently, the tutoring, which is virtual, but kids also, kids a lot of times fall behind in school. So being able to have that virtual tutor is a huge benefit.
Okay, Heather, can we talk about the tutor for a minute? So is the tutor on the public school side, or is it your agency that's providing the
No,
tutor?
it's through McKinney-Vento. They provide the tutors.
Thank you.
So basically, you know, without McKinley-Vento, the children at My Safe House would not only be displaced from their home, but also their school and their friends. And as many of us know, sometimes school is a child's only safe place. And consistency while they're in a transition is really important, because I can't go see my family. Nobody can know where I am. So to have that one thing that stays consistent can really shape the rest of their future. So the partnership we have is extremely helpful, much needed, and will obviously continue and grow.
Thank you. Last but not least, Ms. Barbara.
Good morning. My name is Barbara Tanner, and I'm the Community Connections person for McKinney-Vento. And my job is to visit the shelters, and the shelters mean Salvation Army, St. Vincent de Paul, even have hotels, the American Motor Lodge, the Big Apple, and even the Marriott Hotel. Any place that we think there are families with children maybe living, that's where I go. I also attend any affairs that I know of that involve families, so I may meet them in case we miss them. If I go to Ms. Shy's office, and I can bring them in, I can meet them through me, and I can let them know that where they need to go. So as you heard in the past presentation, we do provide them with uniforms, book bags, everything. We also provide funds for them to go on family trips that are planned by the school, and the parents do not have the money to pay for. It's paid for through our program. We also have provided graduates their graduation clothing and everything that they may need. I don't know whether you heard, I think it's Shakespeare that says, every day that you don't learn something new is a day wasted. In this organization, there isn't a wasted day. Every time you think you've got everything all straightened up, here comes a new wrinkle. So it's also, it helps you to grow, and it opens your mind to things that you've never heard of. And you'll sit back, you thinking somebody comes in with something and you're saying, where did that come from? I never heard of that. So you learn something new every day when you're working in this program, and to keep up with everything, like I say, that's going on with families outside of the community, with the parent liaisons. And I also attended the program that we had every 3 months to provide a program for a meal and things for the people that are in the shelters. Everyone that's homeless is not in the shelter. So we run programs that do have programs for children that are homeless, that have children. I like to be a part of it, to bring them in, to see where they are at, because we don't want to miss anyone. We want everyone included in there. So this is what I do on a daily basis, that I visit the shelters every week, every day, Monday through Thursday is my days of work. So thank you.
We are so grateful that you were able to be here today, and that you don't go to shelters on Friday.
You can still call me on Friday, I answer.
If you are the community agency, what does it look like when you're going into a school system? Who do you reach out to first, okay? And then we're going to reverse that. If you're the school, what does it look like when you're going into the community?
Okay, so this community resource guide is something new that we developed. Thank you, Vincent, because I feel like I was screaming. This is something new that we developed over the summer. It started as a 40-page community resource-like booklet, and this is something that we developed for another program that Shynea and I kind of worked together on. And we felt like, okay, we can have this book to help families find resources, the things they need in the community, but really thinking about, as millennials, that's a lot of paper that we're printing out for all these families, right? So what we decided to do was take that and create this QR code. And this QR code would bring you to any division of resource that you need, whether it be mental health providers, medical providers, where to get food, help with your uniforms. Even some of our departments are listed on here as well. We have these on magnets, we have banners, we have them at City Hall, we have them in the Board of Ed, we have them in the Welcome Center. We're trying to get them in our communities, even on posters, things like that within the communities, that anyone can access this. Shelters here, all of that too. So if you pull out your phone, you can use your camera to pull up the QR code and it'll bring you to a graph. From that graph, there's a hyperlink for anyone that you want to reach, whether it be their website, their telephone, or even your address. You're able to access that and help our families in the community. So I wanted to talk about this. I didn't want to miss this opportunity. Feel free, you don't have to reinvent the wheel for your districts. Here's an example right here. But I think it's something that's really important for us to talk about and to get the word out to. They want to miss the opportunity. So put your phones up when you can, take a look at it. But if you want to reinvent the wheel for your district, please do so. It's very resourceful. And a lot of our print liaisons, you guys have been using it as well. We have it in our emails, in our signature lines, and all over the city. Just want to take the opportunity. Yeah. Okay, to next conversation. Thank you so much.
So one of the things that we do know, and what I know in my travels for a few years, is that it does take putting the logos and the egos at the door when you're coming to the table. That's really important when you're coming to common ground. And I know all of us have, we represent, none of us represent districts or agencies, and the natural inclination, right, is to promote ourselves and promote. Yes.
So, on that topic, I think just on the topic of ego, I like to think of it, we come from a scarcity mindset. So I think that's where ego, that's where competition is, I think, my mindset, competition just means it elevates us. It doesn't mean we take away, it just pushes us to be better, not to hide and grab everything, because there's so many people in need that there's not one organization that can take care of everything. So it's moving from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset, and to think that we're partnering with the communities, and you can't, there's not one organization, one community that can do it, service everyone by themselves. So by partnering, you're actually helping yourself, you're uplifting the community, you're getting better impact, you're getting better results, and you're creating more sustainability for yourself, your organization, your district, everyone else, and you're uplifting the community so everybody's benefiting.
Take a snack, a yummy, on your way out. Be safe, right? And have a great weekend.